Welcome back to Posting Through It. I'm Jared Holt.
And I'm Mike Hayden.
Off the top, we got one Patreon shout out, Mondo Martinez. What's up? Thanks for supporting the show.
Thank you. We did a podcast recently about the downfall of the Daily Wire. It was on our Patreon feed for premium subscribers. I recommend everybody go back and listen to that. If you haven't heard it, it sets the tone for what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. A particular kind of content that is undercutting the Daily Wire, the Blaze, etc., stealing attention from right-wing audiences right now. It almost looks in many ways, Jared, like the future of right-wing content.
Oh, God, don't say that, Mike.
Or it certainly has a place in the future of right-wing content. It is the direction they're going towards. Now, there's Nick Fuentes, who is not really what we're talking about here. And there's Clavicular, who is getting closer to what we're talking about here. We did an episode about looks maxing a couple months ago. This particular kind of content is shock and confrontation-driven content. That's what the focus is. I am calling this genre confrontation porn, Jared. It is a fetishization of the confrontation in the public space. Whereas you used to have Daily Wire or whatever conservative pundit would say the thing that would shock. Oh, look, the liberals are freaking out. They can't believe that I said this. It's like, oh, snowflake, you just got, you start melting, snowflake, or whatever they would say.
Yeah.
This is about going into a space and saying a slur to someone's face and filming their response. That's not the only way it manifests, but that is the easiest way to call in mind what confrontation porn is.
For example, shortly after Trump won in 2024, Nick Fuentes got a bunch of heat because he went on Twitter and posted, "Your body, my choice." And people raged against him. He got his address circulated online. People were showing up at his house. There was an incident where a woman, rang the doorbell and he popped open and hit her in the face with pepper spray. There was a court case against it, all that. These are people that are like, okay, what if I took my body or your body, my choice, and went to the mall and found a random woman and said it to her directly and filmed her reaction so that people who think like me can denigrate that person, call her all kinds of terrible things, and just celebrate how angry and offended she became. This episode, we're going to talk about two guys in this genre, and there's more of them, right? There's sort of zones of this. We're going to talk about two guys in the racist zone of this, but there's also a whole, subgenre of this. It's self-proclaimed pedophile hunters, right? Today, we're talking about Chud the Builder and another guy that goes by GypsyCrusader. It is live, often unpredictable shot content, and they are making a killing. They are making tons and tons of money, getting tons and tons of attention, and that audience that they're drawing is really young, too. So there's a lot of really young right-wing people or just young people drawn to shocking content online that are getting sucked up in this. But I mentioned the pedo hunter content.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about that a little bit, Mike.
After Chris Hansen had his show back in the day that used to shock people, I was like, oh my God, the creepiest form of reality television, basically. A whole bunch of homebrew pedo hunters sprung up. There's recently this guy, Vitaly Zadorsky, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. And he faces multiple lawsuits right now for wrongly accusing people of pedophiles, like Akash Singhania, who is an Indian-American young man who I would like to note is wearing very cool drip in the video. I really liked his outfit. And he's from California. And you see this guy, Vitaly, appear to catch him, and he's got people in his crew, Jared, who are kind of antagonizing this guy. And it is a very difficult watch because apparently this Akash fella was not there to see an underage person.
No, but this clip there's a lot of people yelling and stuff, but it gives you, I think, a sense of like what this kind of content is about outside of that directly political context before we get into the political context, where they seem to be trying to egg on this guy who, according to this lawsuit, did nothing wrong or improper and was defamed by this. Yeah, I'll just play the clip. Let it speak for itself.
What's the name of his company?
Wait.
What's the name of his company so we can let everybody know that the pedophile this company.
So what do you think? What's your take on it? What do you think happened? He deleted the Snapchat? Like, what happened?
Yeah, no, he either deleted the snaps or he fucking has a burner snap that he used. We're not stupid. We do this every day. You know how many widows like
this we catch a day? But if she's talking to him on one snap, why would she go to another snap?
You have a second phone? No, that's the same snap she uses every day. He's only talked to you on one snap. He's trying to cover it up. But yeah, he was talking to her.
So you think he hacked the system?
He's fucking up himself. You were talking to her on Snapchat, but yeah, we only have one snap that connects to you.
No, guys, listen. I did not talk to her on Snapchat. I sent her this. Look, okay, wait. What time is it? At 7:29. At 7:29.
Where is my toy?
Yes.
The same shit that you were saying on the way here.
That's dirty talk.
It's the same fucking person. It's dirty talk. No, it's fucking pedophile talk when you're talking to a 16-year-old. Don't look at me in my eye, bitch. I'll fucking fuck you up, bro.
I'm not trying to fight. Listen, I'm not a violent person. I'm not.
We're not trying to fight you too.
You're not a violent person with men, but you want to rape a little girl.
No. That's right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh my.
You're gonna get real violent and fuck her throat in an alley, right?
No.
You walked her like a dog by her neck. How about I walk you like a dog down this fucking park?
No, I thought that.
Damn, dog.
How about I walk you by your neck like you just did to her, right?
Homie, damn.
Should I do it?
Damn.
Should I walk you like a dog to your car?
Why didn't you get blocked in?
Why did you just block?
Homie, damn.
So yeah, that's what this is basically. Pedo Hunters is ostensibly not of a political ideology, right? It's anti-pedophile. But I think we've learned that the sort of punish pedophiles narrative that we're going to destroy the pedophiles and that sort of thing really appeals to the reactionary mind. And in this case, they're not really vetting who they're going after in any really particularly good way.
Yeah, and further evidence of that tie-in, I think it was the Daily Caller tried to stand up like their own version of this before. So people on the far right know that this kind of confrontational content is a potential way to make a lot of money and get a lot of eyeballs. And as you can imagine, when it's done sloppy, when things start getting a little hairy, it can lead to even more serious problems. Which brings us to the first subject of today's episode. 28-year-old website personality named Dalton Eatherly, a.k.a. Chud the Builder.
His first mistake is he just didn't keep his name Dalton Eatherly, which is a very regal-sounding name.
Friend of the show, personal friend of mine, Jordan Yule, texted me about this guy, like, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago, and was like, hey, have you heard of him? This seems like one of your guys, right? Because I'm the kind of person that, like, has guys. You know, people will spot people and be like, this is Jared coded. He needs to know. And I watched a few of these streams or bits of them, and I was like, okay, this seems like trouble. This is going to end really badly.
Is it possible that Jordan understood your taste when he said that?
Oh, man, what a life I live. Anyway, so Dalton Eatherly rose to fame live streaming himself, getting into confrontations with random black people in Tennessee where he lives. The way these videos go, he frames it as like a free speech experiment where he will walk up to a random group of black people and be like, do you believe in free speech? And if they're like, yeah, sure, I guess, he just starts hurling the N-word at them and then asking them if they're going to, his words, not mine, chimp out, which is racially derogatory term comparing black people to apes. And
yeah, I first heard it on the Daily Stormer, actually.
When he would do this, people would have strong reactions, confront him, be like, you can't say that shit. What are you? This is disgusting. You're disgusting. So we started carrying pepper spray with him on these stunts and later a firearm and would threaten to use it against people if they threatened him. On May 13th, he did exactly that, but let's keep unpacking the lore. His origin story is basically that he lost his job, even had his baptism canceled at the church he was attending because he liked using racial slurs so much and supposedly did so.
Imagine having your baptism canceled because you can't stop saying the N-word.
So there's supposedly a road rage incident I believe it was last year, where he was in his car. The other people were black, and he's flipping them the bird, yelling the N-word. That gets around on Facebook and whatnot in his community, and his life imploded. So he did what anybody does. He starts his own business, his own contracting, construction business, and pivots to live streaming. He started out on Kick, where like Clavicular and Aiden Ross and these guys like to stream, but eventually got banned and went to another platform called Pump.fun.
Are we gonna even talk about the fact that Pump.fun sounds very obviously like a pornographic website?
Well, it's pump in the sense of like pumping cryptocurrency and like online gambling.
Okay.
Like a lot of these platforms
of
these platforms are just like marketing ploys from online betting houses and cryptocurrency.
I stand corrected.
So like I said, this guy's whole deal is filming himself being racist to black people in public. There's countless videos of him calling random black people the N-word, asking if they're going to chimp out, and verbally accosting them. And if they react, he goes and cries to the police and rushes to self-defense with pepper spray, or recently a firearm. There's one video where he calls a black person the N-word. They knock off his like stupid cartoonish cowboy hat. And then when the guy reapproaches him and is like, I don't want to fight, just hits him in the face with pepper spray. I feel like noting here that Chud the Builder, Dalton Eatherly, has a 2-year-old son. And if I'm not a father, but it's something I'd like to do at some point in my life. I can't imagine like looking your kid in the eye and being like, Daddy, he'll be back in a little bit. He's got to go be racist.
Daddy's got to approach a group of black people wearing a cowboy hat and say the N-word for an audience of yahoos on Pump.fun.
So he quickly got a bad reputation, no surprise, in his community, his town. The police don't like him. People in his community don't like him. They know who he is. Like, people in the area know about this guy, including the cops, including, even there was like a petition at some point that was like, we got to like call on the police department or somebody to like stop this guy because he's like a public menace. He's raising money on Gives and Go. He launches a shitty cryptocurrency coin, just complete grift mode. And he starts gaining an online audience very quickly. He starts cashing out. In some of these exchanges he's had in the street with people, he's explicitly threatened violence. Here's one clip that's been going around, which I feel okay playing since the racial slurs were bleeped out, but it gives you a sense of like how Chud behaves when somebody reacts to him accosting them with racial slurs.
We got 18 rounds for you. We ain't got nothing else. Don't follow me in my truck. I bet you won't follow me in my truck. Come on. Look at him. Ooga booga. Ooh ah ah. Ooh ah ah. Look at these chimping out. 931 Seville. They ain't Look at these chimping out. Hey, thanks for the new truck you bought me.
Disgusting.
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Okay, so this guy is obviously not a good person. I've heard enough by that clip. And to be clear here, I've got the next confrontation porn person, and Jared is doing this one. So I'm hearing some of this stuff for the first time. I gotta say, he's a bad person, but I'm thinking about the people who watch this stuff on Pump.fun. Do they need a whole reboot on life? I mean, this is imagine we're all gonna die one day. We're all gonna disappear from this earth. We're on a flying rock going through space, and we don't know why. And you're spending it on Pump.fun watching that.
Yeah, you're going to work, putting hours on the clock for your boss and getting paid, and you think, okay, the price of eggs is like the only thing that's gone down. That leaves me a little bit of room in my budget to support Chud the Builder online because it's vitally important that he's threatening to unload 18 bullets in a group of random black people. So days before his arrest, which we're about to talk about, he posted on X that the, quote, series finale of his streaming career would be a dead black person, he used a different term, on the sidewalk and black people rioting when he was set free because of legal self-defense. He also wrote that the day that he did shoot a black person for threatening his life would be the day that white people take this country back.
I mean, what part of the country do they not want with Trump doing what he's doing to the country? Is that not good enough for Chud?
You know how these people are. So his first arrest this month was on May 9th after he skipped the bill at a steakhouse. Chud the Builder, which I can't even come up with like a funny name to denigrate him. Chud the Bozo, maybe. Let's say Chud the Bozo. He goes to this high-dollar steakhouse in the Omni Hotel in Nashville and was filming himself there despite the staff explicitly telling him not to do so because there's other customers in the restaurant who are spending a lot of money to have a steak at a fancy place and probably don't want to be on the live stream of some guy who just blasts the N-word nonstop. He live streamed it anyway, proceeded to order nearly $400 worth of food, an appetizer, 2 entrees, some drinks. The restaurant...
Wait. What do you mean 2 entrees?
He was hungry, I guess.
Soon to be Chud the Builder.
So the restaurant staff confronts him, and apparently the guy just went nuts. Or some local reporting on what the police said. They said he was making racial statements, yelling, screaming, and otherwise creating a scene. Chud refused to pay for the meal and then was later arrested for theft and disorderly content. His bond was set for $5,000, paid it, walked out of jail. Crybaby loser shit. But what's more important and why this loser is in the news now happened on May 13th. He was scheduled to appear for a court hearing brought by Midland Credit Management, which is collections agency. Supposedly he owed a credit card company $3,300 and was due in court over it. So he's streaming outside the courthouse doing his shtick when a guy named Joshua Fox comes up, who news reports are describing as a disabled veteran, and basically tells him that he's a piece of shit, right? Predictable thing happens. Chud the Builder starts saying racist things, whatever. And then according to an affidavit filed with Eatherly's arrest warrant, he turned his body in a bladed stance and reached for his firearm located in his right jacket pocket. Thereafter, a physical altercation ensued. During that altercation, Eatherly fired his gun 7 times, investigators believe, hitting Joshua Fox once and shooting himself in the arm once. He went on to claim this was self-defense. He was attacked. He was defending himself, right? This is his fantasy that he openly mused about like a week earlier of like, one day I'll be under threat and then I'll finally get to shoot one of these black people on stream and then I'm going to be rich and then this like white awakening is going to happen in the US. But the police spoke to witnesses at the scene and reviewed surveillance footage because he's outside a courthouse. Of course, there's cameras, and believe that he lied about some key aspects of what happened. They would charge him with attempted murder, employing a firearm during a dangerous felony, aggravated assault, and reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon. And because he was already out on bond in 2 other cases and the shooting endangered random bystanders, a judge set his bail at $1.25 million, later adjusted in accordance with state law to $1 million, which is a huge bail.
That's huge, yeah.
So a lot of right-wing website personalities have been kind of dipping their toes into this, trying to grift off it, portraying it as a free speech case. This is about free speech, or, oh, this is about self-defense. This is about the right to carry a firearm and defend yourself against threats. It is disgusting and so cynical. But one person he did not convince is Nick Fuentes, which is particularly notable given that Chud the Builder previously on X has sucked up to Nick Fuentes, being like, oh, I'm a big fan, you're a big inspiration. This is what Nick Fuentes had to say.
You want Chud in prison for defending himself? You believe blacks should be allowed to attack whites over speech? Despicable.
I love that's the framing. You think blacks should be allowed to attack whites? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. When I say that you shouldn't go out there with a loaded gun on a live stream yelling the N-word, and if something bad happens to you, maybe you should reflect on how you got into that situation. That's me saying, yeah, I think white people should be under attack all the time. Look, it's just a bad idea. It's a bad idea. I'm not going to co-sign that. I just won't. I just won't. And you want to know why? Because you do that and you get copycats, and it's not cool. Yeah, that's actually not cool. You want to know why, retard? His life is over now. It's over. Do you get that?
Not supportive.
You know, one way that Nick is able to get fans and also be taken seriously sometimes by the liberal media is that he will say the bare minimum common sense thing sometimes, which is like condemning Chud the Builder, right? Which takes like only about, you have to be like 5% normal to understand how fucked up Chud the Builder is.
So since his arrest, Chud the Builder had a Give, Send, Go, which is like a right-wing GoFundMe. It postures itself as a Christian free speech company, but it's just like GoFundMe for racist people. That's like some of the biggest campaigns on it. It's the Shiloh Hendricks situation. It is this situation. It is. I mean, this is how this is the platform racist people use to raise money without fear that something like GoFundMe would take their campaigns offline. Since his arrest, his GoFundMe has gone up to more than $250,000, which I just want to pause here. People have given $250,000 to this guy who has dedicated the last year or so of his life to going out in public, blasting minorities with slurs, and then hoping they'll react in such a way that he can kill them in the street.
Yeah. I feel at my most hopeless when I think about this guy or Shiloh Hendricks getting the amount of money that they got for their behavior. But I think we also have to remember that none of this would have happened, I think, without Trump and Trump's campaign and what it unleashed in the country. It's not like there wouldn't be people like this. It's just that there wouldn't be this type of response.
So he's raised all that money, but his ability to use it to, bail himself out of jail is complicated. Tennessee has some anti-vigilante laws that may prevent him from using that money to begin with. On Thursday, a judge ruled that he could not use that money to post his bail. So he's stuck in there until trial, until somebody rolls up with a fat check to bail him out. And he seems to be getting a little desperate. There was one sort of thing that came out from him where he was begging the streamer Aiden Ross to bail him out. Aiden Ross has organized like UFC style fights between online racists and like professional fighters that are black. And he's like, I'll do one of those for free. Just please get me out of this jail.
It's Dalton, Chud. If you can get me out, help with the bond. I cannot access my funds until I get out of here because no one has access to any of my Give, Send, Go or my crypto wallets, etc. I have to get out of here so that I can get verification processes to get into all of these funds. I will fight for free. If you can help me out to post bail, I will fight for free. We'll do whatever it is you want to do, bro. I need some money.
I believe when the first person ever said the words late stage capitalism, what they were really thinking of distantly in their mind, like in that the sort of cosmic brain type thing. Somewhere in the back, what inspired it is that in the future, there would be a guy named Chud the Builder calling from prison to a guy named Aiden Ross saying the words, I'll fight for free.
Oh my God, dude. That just listening to that recording, that sounds like a guy who is starting to realize the shit's not going to plan and is getting a little scared in jail. I can't imagine he's a very popular guy. Here's how Aiden Ross responded.
Chud the Chud guy. What's his name again? Yo, holy shit! So he is on here. Can you pay his bail? Imagine the clips, dude. No, absolutely. What the? Are you?
The slurs are cut out of that clip, but he said, "Fuck no."
I just want to. If anybody has not noticed while listening to this so far, we have had to really censor this podcast due to the just volume of slurs that we trudged through on the way to recording it.
So last week, he had another hearing before court regarding his bail. That's when the judge was like, no, you can't use this fundraiser money to get out. And he had a visitor who showed up, a man named Jake Lang, who was in jail for participating in the 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol building. He is since out of prison, pardoned by Trump, of course, and has just gone full tilt white power movement. And he has spun up like a handful of organizations that it doesn't seem like anybody is joining. He's doing confrontation porn too. He'll go to Minneapolis and he'll set up some kind of stunt and call members of the media and be like, you have to be here and film this. You have to be here and film this. And like people do for some reason.
Well, we should have mentioned it up top, but I did not think about it when we were putting together the doc. Laura Loomer is one of the original confrontation porn people. And it really just requires, instead of, if you believe journalism is just springing upon somebody and saying something that forces them to react, uncomfortably on camera, you're pretty much doing confrontation porn. And that is like the difference between Jake Lang, fuck it.
Jake Lame, more like.
Jake Lang does, that's what he does. I'm a journalist. I'm ostensibly a journalist here. And he's really just going to some place where there are activists on the street and looking to provoke them and create a confrontation.
Yeah, he's done this in DC. I mean, he goes all over the place, and he uses very violent rhetoric, is very extreme, to the point where like other people in the white power movement are like, this dude is a Fed. If you hang out with this guy, the FBI is showing up at your house almost undoubtedly. Total loose cannon. But yeah, so maybe not surprising that he was at this hearing for Chud the Builder, but here's how that went. He got himself thrown in jail.
All right, for the record, Mr. Eatherly's now in the courtroom with
Your Justice.
All right, take him into custody. Take him into custody. I told you, sir, you did not have a speaking role today. You decided that you wanted one for whatever reason. I don't know why, but take him into custody. However, anybody on that side of the bar does not have a speaking role in any of these proceedings today. There's not going to be any hoopla or shenanigans from the gallery. You're going to be removed, and I'll talk about that in a second.
It's reasonable to have a gag order on the defendant should he make bond, and I guess even while he's in the jail and has his iPad or whatever, but he cannot live stream, post, or anything that indirectly or directly encompasses these offenses.
So you're hearing at the end of the clip here what happened during that hearing besides Jake Lang showing up and getting himself thrown in jail for disturbing the court.
Hoopla. And shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, like, basically, Chud the Builder and all of the, like, mouth-breathing racists that support him online have all these, like, far-fetched legal theories of, like, how he's going to get off, and, like, they're actually going to be able to go, checkmate, prosecutor, and this dude's going to walk free. They're going to be able to, like, crowdfund it, and they're going to have this huge moment of vindication, but it's a courtroom, right? Which doesn't have a lot of patience for bullshit like that. So the judge said, okay, well, if this guy does manage, somebody does roll through and post up this gigantic bond, that he's under, we're going to want him to have an ankle monitor on. We're going to want a gag order. So no live streaming about this shit. No, like, basically you've got to behave. And also, we don't want him to have a firearm, right?
Right.
Because investigators also found weird stuff. Like, they found a bag of what they thought was cannabis in the car, which is not good in Tennessee. They found plane tickets to Istanbul.
Oh, yeah. What is he, Eric Adams?
A normal thing for somebody out on bond to have is international plane tickets. That's usually not so good.
New York is the Istanbul.
Investigators determined that he lied to them about basic things. He's like, "Oh, I wasn't reaching for my gun. I was reaching for my mace." And they're like, "Well, he didn't have mace."
But
he didn't have it. He wasn't. He couldn't have been reaching for a thing that he did not have. So the judge is like, no, what the fuck? No, why would I let this? Why are we going to like make it easy for this guy to get out of here?
How did the gambling site get involved here?
Yeah, so that gets on to the next thing. There is a online gambling site called Duel that says they are going to step up to pay this enormous bond and get Chud the Builder out of jail. Duel is like a psychotic betting platform. Like it is an online casino that runs with cryptocurrency that seems to basically like be built and operated by psychotic right-wing racists.
You're shocking me with this. Is an online gambling site based on cryptocurrency that runs off of cryptocurrency is run by racists. And also, I just want to say about the late capitalism thing, just want to point out it comes along with the story. So go ahead.
So on Duel, I don't recommend checking the site out. It's fucking weird. They have a live chat that runs on the side of the site, like while the games are playing, and it's just people constantly blasting the N-word. Like one chat I saw was some guy being like, I just got a new guitar, but like a lot of N-words probably have them too. So I was like, what the fuck is
cool.
Anyway, but because his bond is so high, it means that before they post it, like they can't just cut a check and like send it money order and this guy gets out. They are going to have to show up in court and argue, like, basically the court's going to be like, did this money come from legitimate means? Like, it's like, this is the kind of thing that is in place to make sure people like aren't getting bailed out with money taken from a robbery or drug sales or whatever. So being a crypto casino that's licensed out of another country and operated by a guy who doesn't live in the US, this could be kind of complicated for them. So we'll see. Maybe they'll get him out. Maybe they won't. But even if he does get out, it's not going to be easy breezy, easy going for Chud the Builder. I think, logical conclusion of this case is Chud the Builder tries all these tricks and whatever, realizes this shit's not going to go well. And with what he's charged with, there is so much jail time on the table. I would be surprised if he doesn't just take a plea, put these GypsyCrusader donations in his pocket, and pray to God that when he gets out of jail at some point, that he can like start over and start a new life, or that he can like give this money to help raise his kid while he's in jail or something, right? Rather than blowing all his money and risking a jury trial with like, tens, like, 20, 30 years on the table. I just don't, he's not a sympathetic figure. He does not have as strong of a self-defense claim as he claimed he did. He is not going to have an easy time. But going back to Duel, this like sketchy online racist psycho casino, they are the sponsor of the next guy we're going to talk about, which is your guy, Mike. Who's that?
That's Paul Miller. He's more commonly known by his primary stage name. He has so many, right? This is like a rare racist guy that you have where, much like MF Doom or Cool Keith have multiple aliases. Paul Miller has multiple aliases that he uses online, except he's quite awful, as you're about to learn. GypsyCrusader. And he is also one of the guys who helped lead the fundraising effort to get all the racists together and give their money to Chud the Builder while he was in prison, Jared.
Yeah. He helped fluff up this Gibson Go and pad it with like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cash. And when it looked like Chud the Builder wasn't going to be able to use that to post bail himself, he calls up his sponsor and is like, please help.
Yeah. He saw another Confrontation porn star in trouble, and he knew this could easily be him, and I think he wanted to show some solidarity. He's a New Jersey guy, New Brunswick, New Jersey, and he is turning 37 later this year. This guy is no spring chicken, Jared, to be doing this stuff. Like Nick Fuentes, and it's important to point this out because I know I'm sure there'll be some listener here who is going to say like, well, Mike, there's all kinds of non-white people who can become white supremacists. And that's true. It's a complicated thing, or at least people who are, for instance, let's say they're Latino or something. Nick Fuentes is one of those people. I think he's like a quarter Mexican. More people have been worked up about Paul Miller because he has Mexican ancestry from his mother and Roma ancestry from his father, which is where the gypsy phrase comes from, GypsyCrusader. And he has also Turkish and Indian roots as well. So this guy's 23andMe or whatever is not coming back clean Aryan, considering he is basically a Hitlerite neo-Nazi. He looks swarthy, sort of. He could pass for Italian, maybe Arab, something like that. And he's bulky with a lot of muscle. I'm not going to guess where he got all the muscle, Jared, but he's one of ththose guys, if you know what I mean.
One of those guys you might think, I wonder how he did all of that himself. Huh?
Yeah. He just happens to look like an action figure. Anyway, much like Andrew Tate, Jared, he was a kickboxer. We need to shut this sport down until we know what's going on. And he got hurt, and he started to move more into political activism. And he has described himself as a journalist, but I could not find anything really that identified him as a journalist. And even more, I'm holding on, Jared. I'm holding on to like what this guy's show actually is. Let people hear more about them and then go like, oh, that's what he does. He says he's a journalist. I haven't seen anything resembling journalism. I think we can both agree, you already know where this is going, that's not journalism. He, in 2018, went to Gavin McInnes's talk. Do you remember this?
Oh,
it was at the Manhattan Republican Club.
Vividly.
Well, give me an idea of what happened.
So Gavin McInnes, then leading the Proud Boys, gives a talk at the Manhattan Republican Club. What he said during the talk isn't important. What was important was that it was, of course, attended by a bunch of Proud Boys, but also some like skinheads and shit. And anti-fascists went to protest the event. And after the event, there was like street brawls. A bunch of Proud Boys got arrested. It was not good.
It was like a real life scene from The Warriors.
Yeah.
It was like real New York City street fight violence. And yeah, I mean, if you recall, like Gavin started that day out by taking, I think it was not a real sword, but a plastic sword, but like came out of a cab with a sword and like waved it up. I mean, it was in the air back then because the Proud Boys were so completely dominant in the right-wing space as like at a street level. Yeah, so he went claiming he was a journalist, Jared. Journalist, Chris Farley, air quotes, journalist.
Oh, he must have written a really interesting piece or something after that.
He definitely did. It was, it was for The Atlantic. Anyway, so...
That's not true, just
it's
clear.
Not true. He claimed on that day, this is like his Batman villain origin story. No wordplay intended yet. He says that his shit got stolen by Antifa and then he became woke. Now, this poor journalist had gone, this poor muscular journalist who looks like a pro wrestler, his stuff was stolen and that turned him bad, Jared. That's how he got woke.
Well, here's a clip of him explaining that to Jake Shields.
Jake Shields, smart guy.
This very intelligent man.
When I went to the riots and I covered it, posted pictures, video, everything, and how this is when it got really fucking bad. I posted all that stuff, and then I talked about Black Lives Matter, and I didn't call them niggers, I didn't call them sticks, I didn't say I didn't say nothing.
You're starting to get a little taste.
All I said was, should have called him. I should know, but at the time, Jake, I wasn't like how I am aware yet. I wasn't there yet. So I just said Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. Yes. They are Marxists, and they are used. And I remember almost verbatim what I said. They are using like guerrilla warfare attacks against the police officers. This is what they're doing. I seen it. I post that. Black Lives Matter gets a hold of the video. They get my information from Antifa, dox me again on a Black Lives Matter page. Then, this is what really like kind of pushed me. They came to my mother's and father's house. 60 of these fucking niggas showed up to my parents' house demanding that my mother say Black Lives Matter. And before that, they were calling my mother, they were calling my father, saying, we're gonna kill you, we're gonna burn your house down with you inside. This happened. This is not an exaggeration.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, so I just want to say, in my book, Strange People on the Hill, you'll see there's a part in there where there's a guy who claims that he was radicalized, or he's turned to the far right and became anti-Black Lives Matter after Black Lives Matter people in Baltimore came outside his house and tried to force him to say Black Lives Matter. This feels like a collective fever dream among people on the right. Now, I leave open the possibility that something happened or something like this happened. Could be that some protesters came outside of his mother's house. I don't know. Could be that none of this stuff happened. But I think it is useful to know that this seems to be a mass claim on the right, that they were somehow like forced to bend the knee to Black Lives Matter, and that's what made them woke. And it's important to understand, Jared, when he says woke, what does he mean? I mean, is he like the no gif, the liberal woman in the light, that famous, is she like that? Or is it like one of the other blue-haired gifs that you see that Trumpers share? What does he mean by
it's
woke?
Pronouns in his bio. It is, posting a solid black image on Instagram. No, it's like Roman salutes, praising Hitler, like just Nazi shit. That is what he woke to.
Yeah, they took it J-woke. Jake Shields, who's there, the guy who's talking to, is of course like in addition to looking like Sloth from Goonies and being unable to like put a sentence together beyond a few words, is a huge anti-Semite. So he would understand that.
I also just want to point out that, like, just to give you, we played this clip, but you got to take this shit with such a, like, Margaritaville size pitcher of salt. Because he's like, I was radicalized at the Gavin McInnes thing. And then talking to Jake Shields, he's like, I was actually radicalized at a Black Lives Matter protest. It's like, well, what was it, dude? What was it? The truth is, this dude's been doing this shtick for a long-ass time.
All right, we're getting closer to like what he actually does. Like, hold on, guys. If you don't know who Paul Miller is, wait for the reveal. So he becomes bigger during the COVID era as the country collectively gets weirder and more anxious.
And everybody's just online all the time.
Everybody's online all the time. And he does these, I'm going to use a very old term, chat roulette. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to say chat roulette style apps. No, it's not like chat roulette, but it has a similar feel to it. And the now defunct Omegle was one of these. And these are apps where guys like want to beat off in front of people, and they're hoping
that's
to get
like
some
most
girl.
of it is just like you go on these sites and you hit the randomized thing, and then you get put on a video chat where some dude is like cranking his hog.
Yeah, someone's cranking his hog, and then so you just, or you're going to wind up talking to some random person. And he would stage live confrontations with Black women, Black men, Jews, white women, people of all races, LGBTQ plus people, but mostly Black people. Those are the people he's looking to get. And he would spout anti-Black talking points from, you would get on white supremacist sites, that sort of rhetoric, a lot of crime statistics, things like that, saying like, Black people, the father is not home, these type of like white supremacist type things that are trying to say directly to Black people's faces. And he would say the N-word on these videos, Jared, directly to a Black person with the sole purpose of hurting their feelings on camera, basically.
And I also just want to point out, like, sometimes, but not always, but sometimes either dressed as the Joker or dressed as a Nazi.
I was holding on to that because we do have a few of his personalities, but yes.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Yes, but yeah. Well, yes, he dresses in a variety of costumes while doing this. That's the other thing. Before we get there, though, here, I couldn't find, Jared, any of these confrontations that we could play on the air while beeping them. We don't want to play the N-word on here, but I want people to get an understanding of what it is. So I found one where he is denigrating a woman for being heavy, right? She's overweight. You know, you can get a sense from this of how cruel this guy is.
Yourself to pay for health insurance.
I do have money, though, sweetheart. I do. Don't judge somebody
do you pay for your own health insurance?
I do.
You do? Okay, good.
I'm 26
Thank
years
God
old.
for that. At least the
I'm 26
taxpayer
years
won't have
old,
to
and
foot the bill when you get heart disease or when you're
listen to me.
diagnosed with some like crazy diabetes and die from it. At least we won't have to
I'm
foot the
also
bill
going
for
to
that.
break your heart again. I smoke cigarettes 24/7.
You smoke all those... She can't even get up. She had to like roll. She had to like roll on a bed.
Just gross.
Horrible.
Gross, dude.
He's a horrible person, but we have to talk about him because this is actually where this is the direction, this is the energy, or at least part of the energy on the right now, particularly with young people, is this extraordinarily nihilistic and hateful crap. I feel obligated to point out that a lot of Paul Miller's targets are underage because a lot of kids pick up these apps that go back and forth. So sometimes he is ultimately saying horrible things to people who are 16 years old or 15 years old or younger than that, which is gives it a much more upsetting quality than it would have simply just as if they were all adults. He will ask young women or girls about their relationship to their fathers as a way of humiliating them. And there was one clip where a woman said, how is your relationship with your father? She said, not great. And, you know, he really just like laid in and just was like abused her. And this is like, you know, at the service of his audience. He has multiple different personalities, as you mentioned, Jared, which makes this whole thing that much more surreal when you're looking at it. He's often dressed as the Joker, and he calls himself real life Joker. He also has a version of the Riddler in which he dresses. I mean, at least he's honest that he's a villain. You know, if there's anything there, right-wing Riddler. And he is also sometimes, Jared, embodies a character called Racist Mario.
Racist Mario. Like the Mario brother.
It's, you know, wouldn't it be Wario?
Why? Because he's Italian?
Wouldn't Wario be the racist one?
I don't know. I feel like Waluigi, he's got that.
Well, here's a clip. This is how he celebrate is the wrong word. Here's how he honored Charlie Kirk on the day that Charlie Kirk died.
Big salute for Charlie. He might not have liked it. He might not have agreed with it. But you know what? Is he still a white man who gave his life to try to help? I salute you, Charlie.
Okay. So the salute would be, of course, was a Hitler salute, guys.
Oh. I just want to stress again. These guys, like Chud the Builder and GypsyCrusader, are making a fucking killing online. At least as far as I'm concerned. Those are like big dollar signs for me, right? I'm not a rich man, but like $10 would be too much to make off of this. But they're making, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars from people who just watch this shit and they're like, yes, I need to support this man in the SS uniform giving a Hitler salute to memorialize Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. In making that money, Jared, he also sells a lot of merch. And one of his signature thing is gag guns that when you click on them, a slur comes out. Anyway, here's him giving an ad for that.
White Power commercial. So if you guys want to buy anything to help support the show, we still have plenty of the Never Lose Your Smile hoodies. These are all still available right now, and they have the Joker Totenkopf on the front. all of your favorite white boy winter hoodies. These are still available right now. All of the gag guns, swastika gun, nigger gun, and gas the Jew gun are available right now. And I have a few more of the chirp guns left.
I don't want to ever hear about like the economic anxiety of racist people again if they're buying shit like this.
Yeah, they're buying slur guns from a man dressed as the Joker. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this guy other than to mention a thing that happened earlier this year, Jared. The streamer Aiden Ross, who you mentioned, he's Trumpy. I should also point out that he is Jewish, which is a big thing because he's willing to work with Paul Miller. He has a huge reach, as you mentioned, and he set up a boxing match between GypsyCrusader and a black man who went by Super Hot Fire.
Yeah, this is the kind of event that I was, Chud the Builder was begging Aiden Ross, being like, I'll do one of these. I'll be the racist that fights the black man in one of your fights. Just please bail me out, brother.
It's an extension of the confrontation porn universe because boxing matches are in themselves a confrontation. So, yeah, this Super Hot Fire guy, I know nothing about him, Jared, and I just decided not to Google it. Sorry, everybody. But he looked really washed and out of shape when he showed up at this thing, and it was actually closer than you would think. And Miller looked roided out. Again, I'm not saying he's on steroids, Jared. I'm not saying that he would do steroids. Like, I wouldn't say that he would do 1989 Jose Canseco level steroids or anything like anabolic steroids. I'm just saying, like, for me, when I saw him, he looked like he was on steroids.
Yeah, I would never say something like that, but like, I guess what I would say is it seems like maybe him and Barry Bonds would have a lot to talk about.
Sure. So he, they have a little trash talk session beforehand, and Miller brought some KFC fried chicken for the black person.
But, just for a peace offering, I brought you something. I brought you for you.
Okay. What'd you bring him?
For a peace.
Oh my God.
For me and you, you know what I mean? I think this would be, I know a lot of guys, that are you guys don't really like me. So I wanted to bring this to show you that I want to be standing in solidarity with the community. Right?
Dead silent in the room, except for one guy in the back that's just like, oh, that's so funny. And then I should also note later on in this clip, he's like, oh, I apologize for not also bringing watermelon.
Yeah. So this is a really fucked up guy. And I think the reason why we have to lay these guys out is because they're going to keep winding up making news, I think, in the future. And I think everybody should kind of be aware of this phenomenon because things will be happening in culture that you won't understand without the context of what's happening on pump.fun.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, the Daily Wire's losing audience. These MAGA influencers seem to be losing some steam, especially with young people. So, but it's like, where is this going? I mean, there's obviously still a huge far-right movement. I mean, it's been 30 seconds on Twitter these days, and you'll see it front and center. Where is it going? Well, part of it's going to stuff like this.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for something a little bit more fun to leave it at, a black guy recognized Paul Miller in the airport. I believe it's Hartsfield Jackson Airport. That was what it looked like to me when I saw it. And kind of went up to him and confronted him on his own terms. And Paul did not look quite as happy without his Joker makeup or without the protection of the screen.
Louder, bro. A little bit fucking louder.
Take a swing.
Yeah. Oh, take a swing, bro. I'm not gonna hit you, bro. You think I'm retarded? You think I'm actually retarded? You're a fucking idiot, bro.
Go ahead, take a swing.
Take a swing. Take a swing. I'm just I got arrested, bro. Oh, look at me. I'm a 410 retard. Post me a little 410 voice to fuck over, man. Holy shit, you are a bitch. You're the biggest bitch, bro. Look at you. You are 100% bitch. 100% Nate bitch. I'm not doing shit to you, bro. You would love that. You would love me to take a script to you. Yeah, you would absolutely love that. Bro, get on your hands and knees first and I'll do it. Yeah, get on your hands and knees first.
Go ahead.
Get on your hands and knees first.
You gonna do it or what?
We're gonna do it or what? Get on your hands and knees first. See what happens. Yeah, the cops already know. They told him what? They called me a bro. You called me a I did tell him. Yeah. Say it again, bro. Say it again. One more time. Yeah, you see that? This guy's fucking insane. Holy shit, bro. Yeah, say it one more time so the airport can hear you, bro. One more time so the airport can hear you. Fucking loser, bro. Loser.
I love that clip. I love it.
I feel like that's the right energy to hit these guys with, because they're fucking clowns, right? Like, they're making a living being clowns, but treating people this way, like the people in his videos are treated horribly.
Yeah.
And not only are they treated horribly in that confrontation, during this episode of confrontation porn, but the fan bases of these guys will seek them out, try to identify them, and then continue to fucking torment these people. It's very psychologically damaging. People, like, the human mind is not built for that, right? These people went on Omegle or chat, whatever. Or in Chud the Builder's case, we're just walking down the fucking street, and now they have all this dumb shit to deal with. All these people threatening them, ridiculing them, harassing them for entertainment. So these guys could make a few bucks and buy a new truck.
Yeah.
And in Chud the Builder's case, it was nearly deadly. When we're talking about people getting shot, I mean, this is like a game of inches, right? The guy he shot got airlifted to the hospital, right? It was that serious. He seems to be doing okay now and has raised some money to get back on his feet. But he was in a public courtyard just unloading his gun, like, so crazy that he shot himself in the arm, right? He could have killed people, man. And for his sake, facing the kind of jail time he's facing, he's fucking lucky he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, I mean, my last thought on this is, again, late stage capitalism, because if you think about some of the racial tension that has existed during the Trump era, or just the Trump phenomenon itself, it's kind of a mutation of that whole thing of, like, the very rich trying to steal money for themselves and protect themselves all from this, and then give the rest of people, to keep them distracted, we'll give them racial tension, we'll give them racial fights and other identity related fights while we continue to steal the country for ourselves. This is like a super mutation of it. And that's why it's like so also interwoven with the economy itself. It's like, right? It's like, this guy has no job, right? This Chud the Builder, he lost his job by being a chud. And what does he do? It's like, oh, well, I'll just pick up and I'll be a soldier for the divisions in the country, and I'll just deepen divisions for cash. For Paul Miller, very similar situation, right? Like, he always starts his story in explaining what happened is that he was a kickboxer who got injured, right? So he's had this injury and he's got this pain, and it's like, well, what can I do? Where can I take that same violent energy I put towards my sport and make money? I can do it by being a bastard.
Well, let's leave it there for this episode. It's kind of nice just to do one me and you this week, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It had the feel of one of our Thursday episodes, which are, to you guys at home, available only when you're subscribers to that very Patreon service.
Yeah. I always get a kick out of we'll be talking and you're like, yeah, this episode will have, like, it's a main feed episode with a premium feel.
Yes. Well, it is. Well, branding is important. You know what I mean? It's like we're bringing out the wine list for people when you sit down to your meal. You do like a premium. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, man.
Anyway,
I need a beer. It's beer o'clock here.
All right, go get that beer.
All right.
We'll see folks on the Patreon Thursday, and everybody else we'll see you here again next week, Monday. Bye.
Bye, everybody.